Hey guys, what's up? It's Kay, and today we'll be looking at Robot Damashii's Hainu Gundam. Alright, so this unit is actually one of Amuro's units in the Universal Century timeline, and some people or some Gundam fans are actually getting confused with, with the Hainu Gundam being the new Gundam's successor, when it's not. This is actually, it's basically the new Gundam in the novel. So in the movie adaptation of the novel, instead of them using the Hainu Gundam, they actually use the new Gundam. So they're pretty much the same, it's just completely different from each other. Anyway, enough with the bullshit. Let's proceed with the figure. Let's start with the boring ones first. Alright, so for accessories, aside from the beam rifle and the funnels that's currently attached to the figure, you have two beam sabers with that little dagger going on, and you have the hyper bazooka. You also have this extra tail binder if you wanted to go with the original look, and you get 4 beam effects, or 4 pink, clear, crispy bacon. Sorry. And you have 1 pair of open palm hands, 2 trigger finger hands for open finger hands, 2 trigger finger hands for the rifle, 2 trigger finger hands for the bazooka, 2 closed fists. What else? Oh, and this thing for his backpack. This is for you to be able to attach the funnels. Now, I'm not really liking this accessory, but it's a nice it's actually a nice touch that they added this, or they provided this with the figure. Now let's go ahead and proceed with the figure. Alright, so continuing with the accessories, so we're gonna have to remove the backpack here, and I'll let you know the feature on this thing. Okay, so we're gonna start with we're gonna continue with the backpack. So again, this is panel lined, flat coated, and I added some decals on it, so it's completely different from the original, and I think this one's better than the metal Robot Damashii figure. That's just me, I'm sorry. I'm actually proud of what I did here. So anyway, so there's the fuel tanks is on a ball joint, so it can wiggle around and rotate like so. And for the how do you say this, the funnels here, it's on a double hinge, so this one can move up, all right, and can go side to side, left and right, and this one can go left and right as well. And that's it. The thrusters here, they actually don't move, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, as for the funnels, each of them will open up, and you can actually transform them to its firing mode. And if you wanted to bring it attach it back to the backpack, all you have to do is just lock it in place. You see how there's a peg there and there's a socket here, so all you have to do is just lock it in place. And then there's a peg here and there's a socket there, and peg that in here. There we go. So this is, I guess, the main feature of the Hainu Gundam. So let's proceed with the figure. Oh yeah, and by the way, he has that tail binder thingy, or the wing binder, whatever you want to call it, and this one can just go up and down. There we go. Alright, so now we have the base figure here. It's equipped with the closed fist, the rifle there, the trigger finger, sorry, not the trigger finger, the trigger finger hand, the shield, and that's it. So we're gonna start with the shield first, because I'll be removing this in a bit. So it's on a ball joint, so it's gonna wiggle around and rotate, and you have the option if you wanted to display it like this, or remove it and place it in the back. So there's 2 ball joints there, so it's really up to you on how you wanted to pose this. So you can do it like that when he's blocking things, or you know, just the standard position of the shield. I prefer it on the sides, really. I always do that. Anyway, now next, well, the rifle, there's no accessory on the rifle, so we're gonna remove it, and we're gonna focus on the figure. Let's go ahead and attach the hands here. All right, there we go. So again, just like most Damashii figures that I own, I actually add panel lines, decals, and flat coat onto the figure. So you see there's the Londabel logo here, the Amuro insignia there, and another Londabel logo here, and another decal there. So it's all over the place. What I do like is that I actually added some EFSF decal on both legs, so that's nice. You can see how you can actually read, you know, the decal that says RX93 V2 EFSF, and then the other one is the same. So that's a nice touch that I actually liked when I was working on the figure. So I think this one sets it apart from the regular Damashii figure and the metal robot Damashii figure. So anyway, enough with the bullshit. Let's start with the figure. So, oh, and I always wanted to mention this. So this is the very first robot Damashii figure that I actually did some modification. Now on its head, I did some I actually made the head longer. Now I'm not sure if you guys are gonna see that, so I'm just gonna remove it from my tripod. Hopefully you guys will see this. As you notice, the neck there looks different. Now the reason for that is I actually had to cut off the neck joint and added a plastic plate. Now I'm gonna include a picture on the left side here, just so you can see how I was able to do it. Now the reason for this one is because back then, with its stock neck joint, it was a little bit short, so he cannot actually look down, just like you know how this figure can actually look down right now. But back then the neck joint was too short, so the face vent right here, it's actually blocking its head from, you know, it's actually blocking the articulation, so he cannot actually look down. And back then, that's as far as it can go. It cannot actually look down, so you're stuck with that kind of articulation. He can actually look up, but he can only go as far as like that. So he's not gonna be able to look down. With a little modification, I was able to make it look down. You know, there we go. That's a nice touch right there. And there we go. So even if it's just a little bit, that's actually, you can actually see how a little bit of modification can make actually a big change when it comes to making the figure look more intimidating. So I'm actually happy that I was able to nail the modification on my very first attempt. So that's that. And all right, let's go back. So let's start with the articulation. Okay, so since I'm done talking about the neck joint that I did, we're gonna start with the figure's articulation. So the head is on a ball joint, so it's gonna rotate, it's gonna look left and right. It's not gonna go well, yeah, I think it's gonna go 360, but we don't need that anyway. And then it has a neck joint there, so it can look pretty high up. This is for you to do some flight poses. Now the body here is on a ball joint also. It can go as far as that, there we go. Unfortunately it's not gonna go 360, but that's fine. It has a good twist on it, and he has a good ab crunch. And then what else? The arm will go 360. This is on a hinge. It can go that far up. Arms can go that far up. The elbows is gonna have a 180 bend. The the hand is on a double ball joint, so it's gonna wiggle around and rotate. And there's also an arm, a swivel below the shoulder. What else here? The front skirts can go as high as that. That's it. The side skirts can flap. The back skirts can go as far as that one. You can move it up and down. And let's see. The legs is pretty fun. Now it can go that far up, sideways. Yep, it can go. The legs can go that wide. And for the knees, boop, double jointed knees. Now I added some detail here. You see the gold, put a gold paint up there and silver paint up there, just like the metal robot Damashii. And it has a thigh swivel. And this one, I thought this one back then was articulated, so it's just on a, it's not gonna be articulated. And then it has a ankle rocker or an ankle swivel, ankle pivot, whatever you want to call it. And let's see, I think, oop, it's on a ball joint. See, it fell out. So it's on a hinge, and it's a ball peg. Yep. So you can point the toes, I think, that far. There we go, that far. Now there's no toe articulation. The reason for this is that this is for him to support the weight of the funnels, which is fine. It doesn't really need a foot articulation right now, since he's not really gonna pose in the ground like most of the Hainu. The Hainu Gundam is actually a space type unit, so most of the time you'll see him flying. So you don't really need foot articulation for this guy. So anyway, what else did I miss? So I guess that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and snap back its articulation. Let's go back and snap back his weapons and accessories. Now I forgot to mention, I showed you guys this earlier. Now the way this thing works, this is the clear part for the funnels. So all you have to do is stick this in. Let's see, I honestly don't like doing this because it's a pain in the butt to work with this guy, or to work with this part. And all you have to do is, I'm just gonna do one of them, okay? Because I honestly don't like doing this. So alright, so use the funnels and change the funnels to its firing form again. Put in the bacon, the beam effect, like that. And then all you have to do, you see how there's a socket there, and these things actually has pegs on it, as you can see there. Let's see, come on camera, focus. Oh, anyway, so it has a peg there, as you can see. There we go. It's on a ball joint, so all we have to do, oh god, that's so stiff. Okay, all you have to do is peg that in here, and there you go. So that's what it's going to look like. And snap this back here onto the figure. So there you go. So that's pretty much how it works. But we're gonna go ahead and remove this because I don't like displaying it with this thing here. It's pretty scary. Alright, give me 1 second, guys. Alright, so what are my thoughts with this figure? Now, I know there's the metal robot Damashii line, that just recently started, and their very first release was the Hainu Gundam, which is, I honestly think was pretty stupid that they used the same mold. So if I were to recommend a Hainu figure, I definitely recommend the plastic one. Now I have a few reasons why. Now if you like the die-cast parts and the metal build finish or the metal build quality on the plastic on the metal robot Damashii figure, I highly understand that. Some of them, it really depends on the person's preference. Now if you like those things, then that's fine, that's good. Now it's just that even if I try and compare both figures, this one has more advantage to it. Now let's start with the price. Now this one is around 4,000 to 5,000 yen, and that's the normal price for any robot Damashii figures. Now the metal robot Damashii figure is around $100, which is double the price of this thing, and they have the same mold, so the articulation is the same. Even the neck, you remember that neck issue that I had with this, that guy also had the same problem. So if you're planning on modifying the figure, would you rather do it in the plastic figure or with the die-casted figure? Right? Now what else do we have here? Now beam effects. Now for 4,000 or 5,000 yen, you get you get an extra piece. You get these thing right here for the funnels. You get the pink bacon for the funnels, or the beam effects for the funnels, and what else? That's it. And the rest, it's actually the same. Now I know the metal robot Damashii figure has those decals going on, but they just really look weird for me. Like the decal placement is just all over the place. It doesn't look good, or I don't find it impressive. Now I don't like bragging, but I don't want to brag or anything, but I prefer this one. Like I prefer the plain one, and I can make it look better than the metal robot Damashii figure. Now just by focusing on the funnels, what I did on the funnels is actually better than the robot Damashii funnels. And you see how there's decals there, EFSF logo there, and I even added a decal here that says propellant tank here, and you have warning signs all over the place. And I can even pair this up with the metal robot Damashii figure and see who looks better. You guys decide. I'm gonna set this up aside here, put the metal robot Damashii figure here, and you guys decide. Alright, so yep, I'd always recommend this one over the metal robot Damashii. Now as for my feedback on the figure, would I recommend this figure? I guess, yeah. Now I'm still undecided. The reason for this is that I'm a huge Amaru Ray fan. It's just that the Hainu Gundam is one of my favorite units, but I will always prefer the HGUC proportions, or the first master grade design, over the original. The reason for this one is I honestly don't like how the skirts are too big, and the shoulder pads are too big, and the back skirts are too big. It kind of makes the figure look short. You see how he looks like he has a baggy pants on? So instead of him having that sleek design, he looks short because of those huge skirts. So I kind of wish they made these things smaller, and the front skirt smaller, just like the HGUC Hainu Gundam. But if you're a fan of the unit, I'd highly recommend it. Now the negative side of the figure, or the disadvantages of the figure, if you're going to get the regular robot spirits or the robot Damashii figure, is that the neck joint. So not unless, you know, if you don't know how to cut and modify stuff, especially if you're scared of doing some cutting on your robot Damashii figures, then you're stuck with the very limited head articulation. And then everything is actually great, but then these things are pretty difficult to attach, especially on this part. I actually had so much trouble attaching this. I had to shave off the ball joint, and at one point I added a stress mark on one of these things, like, oh yeah, here. Yeah, you can't really see it, but there's a stress mark there. So it's this one is really difficult. These four things are actually very difficult to attach to its base. And but if you were able to, you know, attach all of these and attach it to the backpack with the funnels and stuff, yeah, it looks great, but it becomes too finicky, because this figure is already finicky already with all the stuff going on. You know how this flaps around, the fuel tanks flap around, and then you have the front skirt. So you have to, you know, if you're going to make him stand, you want to make sure everything is all everything is placed in the right way, or everything is not moving. But it's pretty hard to do that on the Hi-Nu Gundam since there's too much going on. That's why I always prefer those simple looking kits like the Mark II or the RX-78. That's how I like my figures. But anyway, overall rating, I'm gonna give this guy 3.5. 3.5 because this, I hate this, but it's a good addition. It's a good touch. It's actually a good thing that they added this as a bonus part, but it's too finicky, and I don't like the proportions. But I'm a huge fan of the unit. That's why I have this, and I'd like to thank my wife for giving me this as a gift. I really loved it, especially when I added decals all over the figure. But I definitely recommend it to any figure collector or any Gundam collector that would love to have a Hi-Nu Gundam figure. So that's all my thoughts and opinions on the Robot Damashii Hi-Nu Gundam, and I'll see you guys on the next review.